My man, welcome to episode 11, Musetell, with my man, Marcus Wright from Akron area, Kent area,
Yes, sir.
and realtor. Welcome to the show, man.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. So we knew each other in 2015.
Yeah.
You just graduated from Kent.
Yeah, I graduated in 2014.
14.
Kent. Yeah.
Okay, but that next year you came. You was when I graduated. I graduated 15.
Yeah.
So when I met you, I just graduated. So
Okay.
you were a year removed.
Yeah.
So you from Kent. Just tell us about your upbringing. Your family life and all that.
Yeah. So pretty much, like you said, grew up in Kent. Kent is not a smaller town, but for those people that know Kent State, that's where I lived at. Always grew up on the south end of Kent, small community, a lot of elders, everybody knew my dad, things like that. So when you're in a town where everybody knows everybody, you feel at home, you feel comfortable. So we pretty much, we lived on, it's called Cherry Street, right down the street from the movie theater. Pretty simple life, man. I had both of my parents, fortunately. They both worked 2 jobs. My dad worked in the early mornings. He also worked at our school district.
Okay.
And he worked at the local Kent Parks and Rec. So he was always around. Everybody knew him. Everybody knew who he was. My mom, she worked factory jobs.
Okay.
Made real good money. And, she was always on second or third shift. So she was around, but, it was usually later on the weekends I saw her. So.
Okay. So you have both parents. You have other siblings.
Yep. So I grew up with my sister Jasmine. It was just me and her. We the closest. But then I got 4 other half brothers and sisters.
Okay.
My brother Shannon, my brother Leon, and my sister Bien and sister Liz. So they're all older than me. So I never really grew up in the house with them. But my brother Shannon lived right down the street in Kent.
Okay.
So I was always close with him. And then my sister Bien, she's the oldest. So I always had a relationship with her, but never true connection because she was so much older than me. Just lived with us for a little bit when I was younger. So I always had a close relationship with her. And my brother Leon, I have a pretty good relationship with him, but he hasn't. He lives in Florida now, so
okay.
I don't see him much.
That's your pop side?
Yep, it's my dad's kids.
Okay.
Yep.
So you was the youngest one?
Yep, I'm the youngest out of 6.
Out of 6, right?
Yeah.
So you being the youngest one out of 6, you was a baby. I'm the baby on my mom's side.
For sure.
And I kind of relate to you with that. So what was it like being a younger sibling?
Man.
To you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just being a younger one. How was that being the younger one?
Man, it was at times it was tough. You know what I'm saying? We would get into little tiffs and stuff like that. But being the youngest, man, what I learned until my brother Shannon's kids were born, being the youngest one, my mom kind of spoiled me a little bit early on. So it shows you're not accountable for someone else. You're the youngest, so everybody else is supposed to look out for you. Everybody else is supposed to be there for you, care for your needs. So, that's kind of, what it was. Everybody looked out. I got bullied a little bit by my cousins, stuff like that.
Right.
Bigger brother things, you know what I'm saying? So they would pick on me and stuff like that. But other than that, man, everybody pretty much looked out for me. They looked out for me. I was one of the little ones out there. So
Nah, you're the biggest one now.
Nah, I'm the biggest one. Yeah, they don't mess with me no more. Those days is over.
Yeah, you're the biggest one now. They ain't messing with you no more.
No, they ain't doing that. Yeah, so that stopped in probably about middle school once I started playing football and all that stuff. So
that's when you started playing football. Middle school?
I started early. I started when I was 8 in Little League. I was 8 years old. I played just for the Kent Youth football team. So I started when I was 8 years old with that, and then that kind of grew. Obviously I got bigger. That's my first love was football. Right. Football is my passion.
You hooped a little bit.
Yeah, I hooped. I didn't start playing basketball until 6th grade though.
Okay.
So actually, 6th grade I started playing basketball, but football was always my number one love, man. So
what drew you to playing football especially at Kent? Mm-hmm. I'm not sure how big the community is on football. I'm sure it's big because you live in a college town. So how big was football for you and your community? Is it a big thing?
Man, it was a pretty big thing. I wouldn't say Friday Night Lights big where they shut down everything, but it was a big thing. we had good teams. My family has a tradition of being athletic, football, basketball, so it ran in our blood to play one or the other. I'm a big Steelers fan.
Right.
So, I mean, I grew up around that. My dad, you know, all that. So I'm watching Cordell Stewart, you know.
He was a beast.
Yeah, Joey Porter was one of my favorite players.
Linebacker.
Yep.
55, I think.
Yep. So him, you know, I'm just watching, you know, later on, James Harrison also went to Kent State. You know, I'm watching those guys. So, you know, watching them, you know, it kind of built that confidence in me. At first, I was timid. I was scared to go out there. But all my cousins was playing. We played backyard football. So it just became a love for the game at that time. So
okay. Mm-hmm. So what was like one of those, like, you know, we all got little league moments. Like, did you see like something like that made you like, okay, I can do something bigger with football? Like, did you see like you had more potential?
Yeah, I think it was the coach. I think my C team coach, Coach Taiwan, Dardell, he really kind of clinged on to me, right. With the whole football thing. So he really instilled like a different aspect. Cause my dad, he was like big on sports, like I was our family. But my dad didn't ever play sports. He was just. I mean, he was a hardworking dude. He did try football, just didn't work out for him. They said he was good and everything, but it just wasn't his thing.
Right.
So he was
from
more,
Kent?
Yep.
Like he grew up in Kent?
Yep.
Okay.
Right on the same side of town I grew up on. Okay. My grandmother's house was down on Dodge Street, which is 2 streets away from where I lived at.
Okay.
Grew up at, always down there. Family was always down there, type of that community. But my pops, he pretty much, he was a street dude. So he was out in the streets doing his thing, you know, and then he went to the military, became a Marine. Okay. And he was about to go to Vietnam, didn't end up going. They ended up calling him back. It was towards the end. Okay. And then he ended up starting to work once he got back here, you know, a couple of 8-9 jobs. And then he finally found his place with the Kent City schools and then also the Kent Rec, which he worked until he passed away. So, but so he wasn't big on sports, but he always said if you're gonna go out there and play, you're gonna give it your all.
Hey, you're gonna be good.
Yeah, you're gonna be good. We're gonna, you know what I'm saying. So, but Coach Taiwan kind of showed me because he loved football and came from that same background. He showed me, okay, you got this gift. Let's really start working on this. And it was him and eventually a couple other coaches, but he kind of started off because that was my first coach when I think he had just moved to Kent, to be honest. So yeah. So
you had those good relationships with those people. Did you like have a moment like where they taught you a lesson, or like where you like, okay, I was down today, but you know, Coach Taiwan, you know, said these words. You have something like you have that moment with him?
I don't think it was a moment with him. He used to always take me to the side, talk to me and stuff like that. But I think it was just, you know, how I played, man. It was just like, it was a freedom to it. You know what I'm saying? When I was out there, and I was young, you know, so I didn't know how I was supposed to feel, what I was supposed to do. But I mean, they put me at running back, so I played tailback, which, you know, back then was a high glory position. You know, you had the Trail Davises, you had the Emmitt Smiths back then. So when I was growing up, so that was a highlighted position. So they put me at tailback, and man, I did my thing out there, man, just free, just running, scoring touchdowns. So then I knew, you know, people was going to start cheering you on. And then at that time, I knew, okay, this may be something that you can, that I can take and further my career with.
So you finish Little League, you go into middle school, and you know, middle school is like where we starting to like reach that maturity stage in life. Like when you was in middle school, did you just start playing basketball then?
Yep.
Or did it happen? How did that happen?
Yeah, so pretty much with the basketball, I started in 6th grade, and it was the last year of kind of like the rec league. So I ended up joining the rec league, played Blue Squad. So I ended up playing against people like Cam.
Right.
So our boy Cam.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out to my boy Cam.
He sprouted out.
Yeah, he wasn't that big at that. You know, he wasn't 16 at that time. Yeah. But it was him. You know, I was playing against my boy De Niro, my boy Latimer. They was on different teams. My boy Jordan was on Cam's team. My cousin Jordan. So it was a lot of people I knew, but they was on different teams. So it made it fun. So that started that.
It's like the YMCA kind of.
Yeah, it was just a little rec league. Okay. Yep, and you play inter squad. Everybody pretty much was from Kent. Okay. They divvied up the squads. You know, you had different colors. You know, everybody yellow, blue, red, green, whatever.
But it was just still structured, though.
Yeah, it was still structured. Yep, you had in our high school, like the high school players would come help ref the games. Right. And, you know, it was timed and everything. You had a bracket, playoffs, things like that. Right. So they was keeping score with that. But that's kind of how it started with the love of basketball. And, you know, for me, Cam was a big inspiration into that, because we used to talk about, once we got a little bit older, 7th, 8th grade, we started talking more about, plays and all that stuff. So we really dove into, and that's how I knew he was going to be a coach early on. We kind of dove into that whole, just the not just playing, it was the things behind it.
X and O's.
Yeah, the X's and O's, yeah.
Building a relationship, building a foundation. And
for sure.
So, yeah, I met him like around 8th grade, 8th, 7th grade. And, me and him was just, we always had a good vibration. Every time we met, we just shook hands and, I say something positive to him, he say something. It was just a mutual respect.
Yeah,
and I commend him for that, both of us, because I'm from Youngstown, he's from Kent. Or I'm actually from Poland, but I'm from both spots, but similar situations, Yeah, being from a football town, or a college town, living in the suburbs or whatever, but he's a good guy, so met him around 7th, 8th grade, and then we've been friends, through then, all that, just mutual respect, so.
Yeah.
His dad was a great leader too.
Yeah.
Did he have an influence over you?
Yeah, most definitely. It was, Coach Black was one of those people, him and then Cam's mom, they always treated me like I was one of their own. So it was just like, I would go over to stay the night. He actually coached us in 7th grade before he ended up taking the head coaching job at Roosevelt. So we ended up getting him, and then our coach, Mr. Shaw, we ended up getting them our 7th grade. So, we just competed. It was before we went into the PTC League. So we were playing Hudson, Barberton, Stowe, bigger schools in our area.
Right.
So we were competing with them, and it was always good competition. But he really kind of, was a core group that most of us ended up playing varsity ball for Coach Black. But he always let us come over, stay the night, watching film with us, just stuff at a young age that really developed us, not just, going into college playing, I look back on some of those things, watching film, things like that. It prepared me for those college moments.
And building a relationship with your teammates, I think, sports teach you like how to build a relationship and learn how to deal with different people each day. It actually taught me a lot of that. Like now looking back, I'm sure it taught you the same thing. Like, okay, I know Cam mad today. This dude mad. Are you mad? I can't be like, all right, I'll leave you alone today. You kind of pick up those signs then.
You start to learn people. You know what I'm saying? You start to understand. That's why I always tell people sports are a big microcosm of life, because you learn to deal with people on their good and their bad days. You got to figure out, no matter what your background, race, religion, whatever it is, you got to figure out how to work with these people for a common goal. And, you don't know that until sports are over. You don't know what it is. You just think you're out there playing the game. Even adversity. Football was one of them things that, one play you do terrible. 6 seconds later, you on the next play, and you got to get ready for the next play. So it kind of correlates to life. Like, okay, I get knocked down, I got to get right back up because tomorrow coming, or that next thing is coming. Right.
So you go to college after high school, and you playing football, playing basketball, playing all those big sports. So your mind in high school was more like, okay, I'm trying to go Division I. What was that like? What was that like for you? Like, what was your process and your mindset then?
Man, I would say probably starting in middle school, my process was pretty much, I want to go to the league. I want to go to the NFL. And then when basketball came in, I kind of fell in love with basketball. Football was always my love. But I started following because it was new. It was fresh. It was fun for me. But I was always go to the NFL. And I never really thought about college. College was just part of the process.
Right. You like, I'm gonna go there.
Yeah. So like this is a step to get to here. So I pretty much just wrote it down all the time. I'm going to the NFL. I look back even the elementary stuff, and I'm just like NFL. So it was always a goal of mine. Yeah.
So like that was one of your goals in life, and at that young age, what were some people that influenced you, or like that were your muse growing up, like in the Kent area, or it could be professional too, but did you have muses around the community? From the generation before.
Yeah, the generation before. It was there was my older cousins, and there was a couple of dudes I know. Like I'm around a lot now. My cousin John, he was big. Wide receiver. You know, this dude named Chris Banks, Marcus Parham, they was all running backs. So it was like, at the time when I was younger, I was playing running back until I got into high school. So those people really started influencing me. My boy Eddie Calhoun, now he played wide receiver. I mean, just going to watch them people on on Friday nights, right. Man, that was the biggest thing. And they was winning, you know what I'm saying? So it was just like they doing this, and especially being a middle schooler or elementary kid, these kids look like superstars to you. These people look like superstars. So Marcus Parham, he ended up going on to go to OU, okay. And then he had some trials with some NFL teams. I believe he was with the Minnesota Vikings for a little bit of time. He's doing great things now down in Columbus. So he was one of the big inspiration for me. And like I said, the other guys, my cousin John doing good things after the whole football thing, but I mean, just doing big things with themselves now. But even at that time, just seeing them as a superstar level in the state of Ohio, in our region, it was just like, man, that's what I want to be. That's what I want to do.
So those people had a great impact on your life and all of that. So when you get to high school football, you playing and you started varsity at what age?
I was a sophomore.
So you started varsity. What was the position?
I played middle linebacker.
So you played middle linebacker. So you basically an anchor of the defense.
Yeah.
So what was that like? What did that teach you being like, you was a linebacker? Like, what did that teach you like that you use, now? Today?
Well, I took big off of Ray Lewis. So that was my favorite player. Like
the rage.
Yeah. Just a passion. And I think, as on both sides of the ball, there's two guys, and I always watched when him and Peyton Manning used to play, because it was like a chess match to me. So like Peyton Manning, obviously the leader of the offense. You know what I'm saying? It's the quarterback. The quarterback usually. And the middle linebacker is the same thing on defense. It's the quarterback of the defense. So I always took that role, and I think I took, for football, for me, in any sport, I think my intellect on the field, I wasn't always the fastest, I wasn't always the strongest, but I knew how to get to the ball. You know what I'm saying? I could tell plays, I could read that stuff. Like I was real good on fourth down and stuff like that, because I was sniffing out plays at that young age, and that was without watching too much film. So I think it pretty much taught me how to be a leader. It started that, and how to have confidence in making those calls at the same time. Kind of like the entrepreneur thing, which that's what my next thing in life is the entrepreneur part. But it's making the calls, making the decision. If I got to make a change, making a change, and the coaches trusted me with that. So the leadership thing, and unfortunately I didn't embrace it until after I played the sport, but the leadership thing was natural for me because I was put in that position. The coaches seen something in me that was bigger than what I seen in me.
So who was like one of the first schools that recruited you? Heavy. I'm talking about like that called you.
Yeah.
Like, was it Kent? Or
no, actually it was not. Actually, I didn't get any D1 because my senior year I got hurt. So that kind of, I messed up my shoulder. Right. So that kind of derailed a lot of coaching, coaches calling me and stuff like that. Didn't make the All-Star game like I wanted to, things like that, things that were on the books. But I ended up getting heavily recruited by D2 schools.
Like who's on you heavy?
Finley was on me heavy. I even had a heavy interest from Villanova, but I didn't go today. I wasn't able to get there. Right. Lehigh, which is D1AA, they were on me heavy.
CJ McCellum went there.
Yep, CJ. Yep, I actually partied with CJ. Yeah, I saw it because I went to the. I went up there.
Definitely.
Yeah, and went up there and did my whole campus visit and stayed overnight. They put my pops in a hotel, and they help you have a good time. Right, I met CJ, and I actually played against him in college or high school too, in basketball too.
Right.
But so those are just a lot of D2 schools, D1AA. Villanova was D1AA. So
how did Kent get involved?
So pretty much, I went to Finley out of high school. My uncle had went to Finley. He was a running back, one of the top running backs to ever go to Finley. Right. Ended up playing for the Giants. So I'm like, okay, my uncle went there. I'm gonna do the same thing. And I went there. It just wasn't that feel that I thought I was gonna get from my college experience. Right. It was smaller. We played on the same field as the high school did. It was just a lot for a young kid to take in, taking 18 credit hours, which was a lot. Yeah. And then trying to balance that with practice. So after my first year, they had a coaching change. We won, I think, one game maybe. And we had a coaching change, and I'm like, man, I'm about to just go home and walk on to Kent. So I ended up calling. At the time, it was Coach Darryl Hazel.
He just got there?
Yeah, he had just got there. Yep, I think that year.
Waller was there?
Yep. Yep, that's when Luke came. I mean, Luke
was there with the other coach you guys had.
Yeah, Doug Martin.
Yeah, Doug Martin.
So I ended up calling him. He kind of told me the process. This is what you need to do. I took a year off, and the following year I tried out because I was already in the springtime, so I couldn't jump right into the team for the walk-on. So the following year, 2011, I believe it was, I ended up doing the walk-on tryouts, and that's how we.